Hello everyone. Now it is time to make our first WordPress site using local Flywheel. So first step is to open up the application, and then we can click the green circle with a plus mark. So now we want to create a site, so we'll make sure that's selected, and then we'll just press continue. And then for the site name, we can probably do portfolio site. We just name it that because that's what we're building. We're building a portfolio. And then with that, we'll press continue. So for WordPress, it has a lot of different settings for like the PHP and then the MySQL versions. We'll just use the preferred because that'll keep it up to date and make sure that everything's running correctly. And after that's selected, we can just press continue. And then for username, just type something in here, add a password. And then for email, you can change your email if you want. I'm not going to just because we're not going to really deal with email too much. And then that's pretty much it for this section, except this is actually kind of cool with the advanced options. So if you want to make a multi-site, you can actually do that using local. And essentially what a multi-site is it's kind of like you have one main site with a whole bunch of sub-sites. Like one example would be if you had a university and they had like their main like edu site, and then underneath that you had all of your different department sites or something like that. Like that'd be a good example. But anyway, since we're just making one portfolio site, we'll do no for the multi-site. And then we can press add the site. So it'll essentially in the back end, it'll start adding all of the required files for WordPress just to get it all set up. And then I'll need to okay this so it can make changes to the machine. It's pretty much adding the site to a file called local sites, and we'll actually find this in the next lesson when we start kind of messing with the theme, just to start building that out. And now it's done loading. So pretty much, let's stop the site. So when you open up local, what's going to happen is you'll have to click on your site and then go up to start site just to start booting it up. And then once it's booted up, you can click on WP admin to then see the site. So I'll have to log in here again, and you'll use the same username and password that you typed in while making the site. And once you log in, you're essentially in the back end. So essentially, this is the admin side of WordPress. So you have two different sides. You have your admin side and you have your front end. The front end is what everyday users see, whereas the admin side is what you can see after you log in. So you can change pages, you can add images, change the theme, whatever you need to do as an admin for your site. So let's actually look at the front end real quick. So if we open up the site in a different tab here, so this is essentially what the default site looks like. And notice it took our name that we said portfolio site, so it saved that. And then if we go in the back end here, let's kind of get familiar with the different tabs that we have on the side. So we essentially have the dashboard. That is our home base. And then we have the post page. So the post page, we're not going to use too much. Same thing with the comments page, just because we'll mainly be dealing with adding new pages and then adding media. So essentially, if you want to add pictures or images or PDFs, just different files, that'll be using the media library. And then if you want to add new pages, so this could be a home page, this could be a contact page, a work page, about you page, whatever it may be. You'll essentially add all of your pages here by clicking add new. And then for appearance, that is how you change your theme. So like let's say for example, so this is the current theme that was the default. It was the 2023. But let's say we go back to the 2021 theme and we activate it. Then if we refresh, notice it changes essentially the CSS, it changes the format, even changes the footer and what we have inside the footer. So that's essentially what we'll actually be building or learning how to build. We'll be building our own theme to then add to our WordPress site so that we can then change. So everything will be customizable. All of the content on the page, all of the styling, the CSS, all of it is up to your creativity. So that's the best part. So we'll just activate the 2023 again. So we'll change that later anyways. But then the next thing that we'll go over is plugins. So plugins are very handy, and if we click add new here, there are many, many different types of plugins. This could be, well, some common ones that I use, the classic editor. It just changes the style and the format of some of the pages when you add them. Advanced custom fields, that's a good way to essentially link data with essentially kind of like PHP calls that you can essentially insert into your code. So it makes it a lot easy to change code on the back end without actually having to code something. You just change a text block or add a new image. So that's very helpful. There are a lot of different things that you can use to essentially help build your website. But we're not going to use any plugins such as Elementor because that's more drag and drop, whereas we're going to do pure backend development. So we're going to code everything, and we're going to learn how the code works and how we can adapt it to essentially get what we want with the code. So another tab that we have is users. So notice your username will be there along with the email that you put in, or if you didn't change it, then it'll just be the dev email, and it'll give you the role of administrator. So now essentially administrators, they are allowed to access the backend here, whereas everyday people are not able to because they don't have your information to log into. And that's a good thing. So you want to keep your data separate so that an everyday person can't go into, let's say, your plugins or your appearance and start changing stuff around. So it's good to have that extra layer of security. Now for the next one, essentially tools and settings. Those will be kind of more in-depth parts about your website. So like site health, you can export data if you want. For settings, you have your general, so you have your WordPress URL. We won't really touch that at all. And notice the administration URL, or excuse me, the email address, time zone. So there's a lot of different pieces and parts in the back end, but we won't really deal with this too much. So essentially that's a very, very quick rundown of the WordPress site. And essentially in the next lesson, what we will be doing is we will be essentially working on building out our own custom theme. So see you next time.